Nagham Alsamari is a resilience coach, professional speaker, and DISC consultant. She's the founder of EmpowHER Leadership Development, where she helps overwhelmed leaders and entrepreneurs turn chaos into clarity through coaching, training, and DISC-based behavior insights. A former school principal and refugee from Iraq, Nagham dedicates her life to helping others build sustainable resilience and lead with self-awareness. She's a Toastmasters district champion, a doctoral student in education, and a proud mom. Nagham also hosts the Leading the Way podcast and runs the annual EmpowHER Connect Symposium in Michigan to help small businesses and nonprofits grow with purpose. It is my pleasure to introduce Nagham Alsamari.
Thank you. Well, this morning I came in, already had forgotten my high heels because I'm obviously very short and I have these wonderful pants my husband got me and I didn't want to not wear them, so wore them, wanted to put heels on, forgot them, probably in the driveway right now, all the way back in Westland where I live, but that's okay because I'm a resilience coach. But opening the trunk of my son's car this morning, because I had to leave my car in the shop, it's not working, and take my son's car. I was not familiar with how to open the trunk to look for my boots, and I broke a nail. That's okay because I'm a resilience coach. But seriously, this is not what I want to talk to you about. How many of you have stood in a line before for something? How many of these lines were like a silly thing, or like a really silly thing? Well, I remember, I think a few years ago, we went to Disneyland and my husband and I and our kids stood in line for like 45 minutes for like a 60-second ride. And it's like, it was so long, my legs are burning, you know, it's so hot there. And 60-second ride, was it worth it? What do you think? Was it worth it? Probably not, but it's for our kids. We do everything for our kids. Now, these were not the only lines that I've stood in my entire life. I've stood in a lot of lines. Being a refugee, I lived in the desert camp of Saudi Arabia for 4 years of my life. I was 8 years old, and I stood in lines for food, for clothes, for everything else, you name it. It was not the best of life. After leaving war-torn Iraq to go live in a desert camp, it's safer with an ER, not safe, because it's a desert. There are sandstorms, and they're brutal. And there's nothing you could do when that one of those sandstorms hit. But we made it, right? We made it. We're there. Now, throughout this experience of desert life, I had to learn a lot of things. I had to unlearn a lot of things, even as a child. Thankfully, I love this conference, Tony. I love how just off the cuff and you could do whatever. So I have my notes in here, and that's why I have my iPad. Here's the thing that I learned through this desert camp experience. I was in a rush. I was in a rush my entire life because I wanted to get out of the desert. I was in a rush to get out of it. I was like, oh, there's got to be something we could do. We got out, came to the United States. I was 13 years old, went directly to high school. I think I spent 3 months of middle school before going to high school. So I had to learn the language, the culture. I wanted to speak to people. I wanted to learn about people. But I was mostly spending time answering questions. What's this on your head? Do you have hair? Where you come from? What language do you speak? Why are you here? There's so many questions that I spent my entire lifetime answering. I didn't have time to ask any questions of my own because I wanted to learn about people. I wanted to learn about you guys. Like, you know, where you come from. Why are you here? Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I speaking English? And, you know, there was never enough time. There was this rush and feeling of urgency from fleeing Iraq, leaving our home, going to the desert camp, to coming to the United States, going to high school, being bullied, you name it. It was this rush and sense of urgent, that my brain got wired this way, that I started taking everything as urgent. Email, urgent. Gotta go to work, urgent. Gotta drive to Starbucks, get some coffee, urgent. And it's not that I wanted it this way, it's just how our brains work. You do something often enough, that's what it knows it wants you to do. So it works like you want it, right? You're telling it to be urgent. Everything is in that urgent mode. And I didn't have time to arrive. I was in survival mode the entire time. For a long time in my life. How many of you have been in survival mode? Yeah. You've not been in a desert camp, but you're still in survival mode, believe it or not. And these two are not the same thing. Why are we in survival mode when we're not in a threat situation? Okay. So I want you to, you can actually open your bags. You open your bags. There's a couple of things in there. The reason why they're closed is because I drove from Westland and I didn't want anything to open and just pop out of the, if I hit a pothole. But there's notebooks in there and pens. Feel free to use them. And I actually want you to do this. I want you to write this down. I want you to write, survival is the bridge. Survival is the bridge. As Tony was mentioning, this is a key shop, and it's one of my favorites. I love doing workshops. I love interacting with other people because it's so good to learn from your experiences right here on stage. It's not about me just talking at you. And this is what we're going to be doing today. So I'm Nagham Alsamari, and I help high performers who look amazing and wonderful and shiny on the outside, while pressure is running the show on the inside. And I help you train that resilience muscle so you can take that control back. And within the next 60 seconds, or not 60 seconds, but 60 minutes or so, I'm going to help you think and respond like a resilience master. All right, so first thing I want you to do is grab those compact mirrors in those bags. Don't open them yet. I'll tell you what to do. All right. I want you to hold the mirror like you're looking at yourself, kind of like this in front of your face. Okay? Hold it. And I'm going to say, when I say go, I want you to open it, okay? But I don't want you to look at yourself. What I want you to do is actually look at me, okay? Holding the mirror like this and looking at me. Now, I will say go, and that's when I want you to open the mirrors, but you'll be holding them for about like 5 seconds or so. I'll count down from 5, so you know, okay? Everybody knows what to do. Give me a thumbs up if you know. Awesome, awesome. All right, open your mirrors. Opening them so you have the mirrors open. All right, awesome, awesome. Now look at me. And we're doing this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Awesome, you can put it down. What did you see? What did you see? Raise your hand. Me, yes, what else? How about your peripheral vision? On the sides, what did you see? You could see other people doing this. What else? Anything else? Did you see the tables? Did you glance at the table? Somebody's coffee? Kind of, maybe. Here is what we do every day of our life. We look at everything else. We look at everything else. Our calendars, our to-do list, the people in our life, our jobs, the soccer thing that we have to do, even though we're exhausted. There is a blurry vision of us. There is a very small somewhere, an outline of us in that mirror. But we're not looking at it. What we're looking at is everything around us. We're paying attention to everything around us except the person who's gonna do the everything. And so today, part of today, we're gonna be talking about self-awareness. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put yourself back in that mirror so you can take a good look. And we're going to work on that self-awareness. Now, here's the person in us that looks at everybody else. That's the reactor person, the reactor mode that we're always into. This is what puts us in the urgent space. This is why we're always in urgency. We are in reaction mode. And what a resilience master does is that they move from the reaction into something else. They move from the reaction into something else. Now, I call them resilience masters, but resilience masters they haven't mastered everything. They haven't mastered resilience. And I'll get to that later on. I want you to keep that in mind because it's really important that we understand this. And, I'm going to move on to the Mentimeter, but I don't know if you're connected to. Okay. Let's see. Let's see how this works. Oh. So a resilience reactor is someone who's always managing. We always have this list of things to do. We're always managing, but we're always one step behind. Don't raise your hand, but just think it through. Has this been a point in your life where you've done something like that? And then a resilience master is somebody who comes back to themselves. They may be in a rush. They may have a long list as well, but they come back, and they come back fast. And I'll go into this further. Please, Mentimeter work. How many of you are familiar with Mentimeters? Okay, yeah, let's see. I don't think it's gonna work. Let's move on. Yeah, all right. So earlier I told you that survival is a bridge. It's not a destination. Survival is a bridge and it's not a destination. Now let me explain what this means. While we go through our life and we're having these challenges, let's say we have this fear of public speaking, or we have this meeting that we need to go into and we're afraid of how our image is going to seem like. What is my hijab, my scarf going to say about me? What are people going to think about me when I walk into the room? Or am I going to be able to say the right thing? Or am I going to be able to do everything for everyone and be able to go home and relax and switch off work? There's so many things in our life that we go through, so many challenges that it creates this sense of urgency that it puts us in survival mode. And survival mode is where you're always in a rush, where you're always trying to get things done and move on, get things done and move on. And honestly, this is why I don't like checklists. I don't believe in to-do lists or checklists because what do you do when you create a to-do list? How many of you, first of all, have a to-do list? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you check things off or cross things off? Or yep. How many of you go back in and star things? Oh, I got to do this. I got to start or highlight it, right? Or circle it, right? And then how many of you circle more things? Because that's also a priority. And then another thing, that's also a priority. And then how many of those get done? Very few, because compared to the long length of the list that you're building, it's very, very long, and it just keeps going. And it creates that survival mode. When in fact, let's think of this stage. Let's think this stage is our problem. This is our challenge right here. I'm about to step on this stage. I go through these stairs, and this is my challenge right here. I'm about to speak. I need to get through everything. I want to make sure everything is going. This is a silly problem to have. It's a good problem to have, right? But imagine for a second that this is our challenge. I need to make sure all my slides work. I need to make sure that I say the right thing, that I don't freeze, that I don't forget, that I, inspire my audience and things like that. And I go through this and my Mentimeter doesn't work, right? And then I forgot something. And I had to go back in here and I looked silly. And then I look at my audience faces and I see, oh, they look confused. Oh God, what's going to happen to my brain? It's going to freeze more, right? These are some of the things that goes on in my head as I'm presenting. And I go in and I finish my presentation and I leave the stage. Do you think after leaving the stage and I go back and sit down that I'm going to forget what happened here? Do you think I'm going to easily turn it off? No. And this is one silly problem. I'm calling it silly because I have seen real problems in my entire lifetime. but I can't turn it off.